I would have taken them over. You know, as chickens is the Sussex-sex.
Yeah, right.
They have them. So I would have taken the Sussexes. The
You
fuzzy
mean,
chicken.
wait, you mean my gift would have been...
Nobody knows the story.
They were looking for any reason to ingratiate themselves with the woman who they believe has snubbed them for some time. And of course, the fact that Oprah has gone public with this story is of huge benefit to Harry and Meghan.
The one where the Duke and Duchess of Montecito gaslit everybody and led the world to believe that there was a racist in the royal family, with apparent concerns and conversation about how dark...
2 words destroyed everything Meghan Markle had built since leaving the palace. Not from a tabloid hit piece or a royal source, but from the woman who'd once been her greatest defender. When Oprah Winfrey said Sussex-sex with that knowing smile on Kelly Ripa's podcast, she didn't just stumble over a title. She turned Meghan's crown into a punchline that would echo through Hollywood for months.
The American audience and many here in the UK fell for it hook, line and sinker, and there was worldwide speculation who in the royal family had made these remarks which were deemed as racist.
But to understand how we got here, how the most powerful woman in media went from protecting Meghan to publicly mocking her, we need to go back to a desperate morning in Montecito when everything started falling apart.
Wait, because Gail's grandkids were there. Kirby was there with her family. I said, wait until I can get the kids.
March 2024. Meghan's Spotify deal had just imploded spectacularly. Bill Simmons, Spotify's head of podcast innovation, had publicly called her and Harry fucking grifters. Netflix was counting down to their contract's end. Staff members were quitting faster than NDAs could be printed. The Archewell Foundation was hemorrhaging money and credibility. Every morning brought fresh headlines questioning their relevance, their work ethic, their entire post-royal existence.
Don't add up about this story. We're going to get analysis from it from Prince Harry's biographer Angela Levin in just one moment. But first, let's take a listen.
Then came Easter weekend. Harry called Oprah about some ducks. Actual ducks for their pond. It should have been nothing, a neighborly favor between Montecito millionaires. But something had shifted in their dynamics since that explosive 2021 interview, where Oprah gave Meghan the global platform to air every royal grievance.
They are completely banged to rights here. What absolutely sickens me, if this were a right-wing politician or a celebrity that wasn't part of the woke brigade, you just know that Peter would be all...
The interview that changed everything. Oprah hadn't just been their journalist that night, she'd been their champion. She gasped at the racism allegations. She leaned forward when Meghan spoke about suicidal thoughts. She gave them 2 hours of primetime sympathy that reframed their entire narrative. Meghan wasn't difficult. She was discriminated against. Harry wasn't weak. He was protective. The palace wasn't traditional. It was toxic.
Nobody knows the story.
Okay.
So I get a call from Harry, Prince Harry, on Easter Saturday.
But 3 years later, Oprah had gone completely silent. No birthday posts, no public support during their Netflix struggles, no defending them when the Spotify deal collapsed, not even a sympathetic quote when their Archewell initiatives failed to launch. For someone who once called them friends, who attended their wedding, who knew the power of her endorsement, this silence was deafening.
Dream, we don't have a pond, so can we bring the ducks over to your pond?
The duck conversation should have been simple, but according to sources close to both camps, it was awkward, stilted, formal. Harry mentioned bringing the ducks to their pond. Oprah's response was notably cool. The woman who'd opened her home, her platform, her reputation to them, was now treating them like acquaintances. 3 years after that interview, Oprah had clearly done the math on their relationship, and the numbers weren't adding up.
Show up at Prince Harry's house, and now we're at Oprah's? Excuse me.
We're in Oprah's pond.
Yeah.
Hollywood insiders knew the truth. Over 30 claims from that Oprah interview had been quietly debunked. The Archbishop of Canterbury hadn't married them 3 days early. The palace hadn't taken Meghan's passport. There were protocols for mental health support she'd never accessed. Kate hadn't made Meghan cry. Multiple sources confirmed it was the reverse. The racism allegation about Archie's skin color kept changing depending on who told it.
Because people don't trust her anymore, in particular after that interview where she allowed all of those lies.
Then came the podcast moment that changed everything. October 2024. Oprah appeared on Let's Talk Off Camera with Kelly Ripa. They were discussing something hilariously mundane, baby chickens. Kelly asked where Oprah would relocate them. That's when Oprah delivered the line that would haunt Meghan for months. I'd run them straight over to the Sussex, pause, smile, sex. The studio audience laughed. Kelly giggled. But Oprah didn't correct herself. She didn't look embarrassed. She let that deliberate mispronunciation hang in the air like a perfectly timed punchline. This woman who built an empire on choosing every word carefully had just reduced Meghan's precious title to a sex joke on a nationally syndicated podcast.
Been blackmailing the royal family with warnings that Harry has more in the tank after the publication of his embarrassingly candid memoir, and telling the royal family that they know what they've done and all they need to do now is apologise and they will stop.
Within minutes, the clip went viral. Not because people were offended, but because they got it. Oprah Winfrey, the queen of controlling narratives, had just signaled something massive to the entire industry. The protection was over. The Sussex brand was now fair game. Meghan saw the clip on her phone while in her Montecito office, surrounded by vision boards for American Riviera Orchard, her upcoming lifestyle brand. According to someone present, she went from confused to furious in seconds. This wasn't some random comedian or bitter royal correspondent. This was Oprah, the woman who'd given her the platform to tell her truth, now turning that same platform into her humiliation. She immediately called her PR team. Could they spin this? Demand a retraction? Claim it was edited? But her team knew what Meghan couldn't accept. When Oprah Winfrey makes you a punchline, you stay a punchline. There's no coming back from that. The same woman who could make a book a bestseller with one mention had just made Meghan's title a joke with 2 words. The implications were catastrophic. That title wasn't just ceremonial for Meghan, it was her entire brand architecture. Every deal, every partnership, every speaking engagement was built on being the Duchess of Sussex. Remove the title's gravitas, make it something people snicker at, and what's left? An actress from a cable show who complained her way out of the world's most famous family. Harry was reportedly mortified, not angry like Meghan, but embarrassed. He understood something his wife couldn't. Oprah's joke wasn't the disease, it was the symptom. Their brand was already dying. Oprah had just announced the time of death to the world. The response from Hollywood was immediate and brutal. Late-night hosts who'd been cautiously respectful started dropping Sussex jokes into their monologues. TikTokers used the Sussex-sex clip as their opening bit. Podcast bros who barely knew who Meghan was suddenly felt comfortable mocking her. The fear was gone. Oprah had given everyone permission to laugh. But the real damage came from the silence. The Obamas, who'd once been close allies, said nothing. Beyoncé, who'd called Meghan my princess after the Oprah interview, went quiet. Serena Williams, supposedly one of Meghan's best friends, didn't defend her. Tyler Perry, who'd given them sanctuary and security, remained silent. These weren't just friends. They were strategic allies who understood that defending Meghan now meant opposing Oprah. Even more telling was what happened with Meghan's business ventures. American Riviera Orchard, her lifestyle brand built around jam and home goods, was supposed to launch with celebrity endorsements. Suddenly, those celebrities were unavailable. The influencers who'd posted her PR packages quietly archived the photos. Brand partnerships that seemed certain mysteriously dissolved. A luxury candle company that had been in final negotiations for a collaboration deleted all mentions of potential partnerships from their social media. Fashion brands that had dressed Meghan for events stopped calling. The speaking circuit that had paid 6 figures for her appearances suddenly had scheduling conflicts. Hollywood wasn't formally blacklisting her. It was worse. They were pretending she didn't exist. The numbers told the story Meghan didn't want to hear. Her Instagram engagement had dropped 70%. The podcast that Spotify paid $18 million for had barely cracked the top 50. Netflix viewership for their documentary had flatlined after the first week. American Riviera Orchard's Instagram had gained only 40,000 followers despite massive PR spending. Every metric that mattered in Hollywood was screaming the same message. The Sussex brand was toxic. Meanwhile, Oprah's subtle shade campaign continued. She posted about her favorite things without including any of Meghan's products. She celebrated International Women's Day by highlighting female leaders, but didn't mention the woman she'd once called brave for speaking her truth. When asked about the Sussexes in subsequent interviews, she pivoted with practiced ease. The message was clear without being cruel. That chapter was closed. Industry insiders started talking openly about what they'd whispered for years. Meghan was difficult. She went through staff like tissue paper. She demanded royal protocol from American production teams. She couldn't separate her title from her identity. The victim narrative that had worked in 2021 was exhausted by 2024. People were tired of the complaints, the accusations, the constant need for sympathy without accountability. But perhaps the most damaging revelation was about that original Oprah interview itself. Producers who'd worked on it began sharing stories off the record. How many times answers were reshot? how carefully questions were crafted to avoid follow-ups, how certain claims went unchallenged despite obvious inconsistencies. Oprah, the master interviewer who'd made celebrities crack with a single look, had given Meghan the softest landing possible. And now, 3 years later, she was clearly done providing that cushion. The Christmas season of 2024 became a study in social isolation. The Sussexes, who'd once been invited to every elite gathering, spent the holidays in Montecito with no famous visitors. The celebrity friends who'd once made pilgrimages to their mansion were celebrating elsewhere. Even their Netflix cameras, once omnipresent to capture content, had been packed away. Harry started making solo appearances, first at a veterans event, then a polo match, then a charity function, each time without Meghan. Sources said he was trying to salvage something of his own identity before the Sussex brand collapsed entirely. He'd seen what the Sussex-sex joke really meant, not just mockery, but irrelevance. By January 2025, American Riviera Orchard still hadn't officially launched. The trademark applications for cookies and dog treats felt desperate, like someone throwing anything at the wall hoping something would stick. The lifestyle brand that was supposed to rival Martha Stewart couldn't even get its jam to market without becoming a meme. Today, Meghan and Harry remain in Montecito, isolated in their mansion with their children and their chickens, the ones Oprah suggested they keep. The Hollywood community that once embraced them has moved on to newer, less complicated causes. The royal family they left behind has never been more popular, and the title that was supposed to guarantee Meghan's relevance forever has become something people literally laugh at. The woman who wanted to modernize the monarchy ended up becoming everything she claimed to hate, out of touch, demanding, obsessed with hierarchy. She traded a palace for a mansion, but kept the same mentality that made her miserable in the first place. The title she clung to as her identity became the joke that defined her downfall. When Oprah Winfrey, the architect of modern celebrity culture, decides you're a punchline, you don't recover. You either reinvent completely or you fade away. And for someone whose entire identity is built on a title that's now a sex joke, reinvention seems impossible. The question isn't whether Meghan can recover. Hollywood loves a comeback story. The question is whether she can let go of the very thing that's destroying her, the desperate need to be treated like royalty in a town that only respects authenticity. Can she drop the title, lose the entitlement, and show up as just Meghan? Or will she remain the Duchess of Sussex-sex, forever fighting for respect that Oprah's 2 words ensured she'll never get again?